again, the what was it called? Where generally non-blacks or whites or people that align themselves with white agenda, uh, black exhaustion. I think it was. I think that's what this saying was. It was black exhaustion. Um, I'm still looking for a formidable conversation on that topic. I have gotten some comments where people who are not of African descent have said, well, this happened to Irish people and Irish people don't do this. And this happens to natives and natives don't do this. And this happened to Italians and Italians don't do this. Well, number one, they can't speak for all Italians because I know Italians that do what they say Italians don't do. I know natives that do what they say they don't do. Even if the person was native, I've spent significant time around many tribes of Native Americans, and many of their behaviors are aligned with what the video stated that they said natives don't do. But more importantly, we don't share the same history, so our outcomes are going to be different. And how can you have an exhaustion of something that you don't have any information about historically? Uh, we will have people, especially people of European descent, American whites, that are quick to point out that slavery was everywhere in the world. And that's very true. But chattel slavery, the form of chattel slavery that was in the West, particularly in North America, never occurred before or since in human history. The commodification of a human being never occurred before. So the experience of the people of African descent in North America in particular, separating it from the Caribbean or South America, never happened before. So Irish cannot claim that experience. Um, uh, Italians cannot claim that experience. No other people can claim that experience that people of African descent experienced in North America. So the common slavery argument is flaccid. Further, this commodification, whether these people are human, whether this lasted until the 1970s, into my lifetime. This isn't black and white history at this point. So, again, this isn't ancient history, and it is a completely different history than most people have experienced. So, if you don't have the information concerning it, how are you exhausted by it? So, again, any intelligent conversation on black exhaustion, I welcome. And this is not to make anybody look bad. This is not for me to twist anybody up and embarrass them. I really want to ask questions to see how we can be so removed from reality that we as an American people in a quote unquote advanced society still have these primitive notions of separation. Because the bottom line is, racism is only a means for capitalism. Anybody who is functioning on a personal level with racism are not part of the equation. Racism came about to protect resources, as did misogyny. There is probably, more than likely, truly no intelligent man that believes women are less competent than men. But if we can create this narrative and keep women segregated from the wealth, it makes more wealth from us. So again, I said there are very few competent men that believe it. There are definitely men that believe it, and I assert that they're incompetent. There are many whites that feel blacks are less than them. I just find them to be incompetent because history doesn't show that. But I offer you this challenge in this video. So for people to say, I'm just exhausted about this black conversation. But support the troops. I support the military. Why do you support them? Because they fight for our privileges to live under the rights of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, right? And that they go through life-threatening circumstances and situations to ensure that. So I'm not even going to go back to the blacks that fought in the Revolutionary War, the blacks that fought in the War of 1812, the blacks that fought in the Civil War, which blacks is what made the North win the Civil War. The war did not switch in favor of the North until after 1863, after the Emancipation Proclamation allowed black people to fight in the military. That's a strategic numerical fact. You can check it by the battles won, and you can check it by the battles that black people were in. Bottom line. We're not even going to go back that far. Let's go back to the 1960s, when black people had to suffer PTSD because teenage black folks, SWAT was sent to murder 11 kids at the Black Panther headquarters. That was the first time SWAT was ever used. That's why SWAT was made. Special Weapons and Tactics was made because of the Black Panthers. And they were first used on the Black Panthers. And they were, I think it was 11 of them, I think 6 of them were teenagers. A week before that, what's going on? A week before the assassination attempt at the headquarters in Los Angeles of the Black Panther Party, in Chicago, Fred Hampton was assassinated in his bed. And that was directly connected to J. Edgar Hoover. Please read the COINTELPRO books. So we have war and military-like trauma disproportionately to black people that other people don't have in this country. Yet they're worn out. They're fatigued. They have black fatigue. That's what it is. Black fatigue. War on drugs, mass incarceration. How many presidents? Because now we're not talking about ancient history. We're talking 2020. We're talking Hillary Clinton running for president. Bill Clinton coming to her aid in supporting her as in her presidential run, where they apologized. Biden apologized for the disproportionate militarization of the war on drugs and how it affected black communities in particular. Tanks, M16s, militarized artillery used on the black community, when statistically the DEA had found that there are more drugs on an Ivy League campus than it is generally in an inner city. So if black people in your lifetime are having militarized, disproportionate militarized experience and trauma, how is it you have no sympathy for that, but you have sympathy for the troops? And this is not like the people who did it were right. They apologized. The politicians that funded it, the people who coordinated the efforts, they all apologized. Senators, congressmen, presidents, vice presidents, chief of staff, all of these people have said, you know, my bad. Walmart pulled out of ALEC. Walmart, Idaho Potatoes, Boeing airplanes. All of these people that were making money off of the prison industrial complex with this free labor, once it went belly up and everybody pulled out. Why did they pull out and why did they apologize? Because they admitted it was wrong, and it was disproportionately wrong to black folks. Now, not 100 years ago, now. But we have gotten this fatigue, we've assumed this fatigue, saying that that was a long time ago, but I don't want to hear what happened now. So I'm just wondering, just like I said, if we're angry at the Mexicans for coming back to land that was taken from them wrong, unjustly, but we support Israel. I ask those with black fatigue, if you support the troops and their militarized trauma that was experienced in fighting for the rights and privileges of the United States Constitution, why don't you have that same energy for black folks?